Now, those wizards and fairies are quite clever, aren't they? So, let's have a look at this. Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, then welcome to the channel. This is the best guitar channel in the world. If I keep saying it, they're going to believe it eventually, aren't they? Okay, this is the first video in probably many videos on the Vox VT40X. This video is going to be how I am using at the moment as just an amp, ignoring most of the effects and stuff that's on it, but using it as an amp with my pedal board in front of it, as I would traditionally any valve amp. I will touch a little bit on some of this other stuff that this amp is capable of doing within this video, don't you worry. Now, I did take this amp out to a gig last week. I hadn't spent a lot of time with it at this point, and although it was okay, I had a pretty decent sound out of it. I found that sometimes it was getting lost within the band, other times it was a bit toppy because I was fiddling with it as I was going and didn't really know what I was doing. I will be taking it out again this weekend, now I've spent some time with it, to see if it is good enough. Well, it is good enough, but if it's loud enough to be used in a energetic pop rock band. I did manage to get it to cut through in the end, but I ended up with kind of a mushy, kind of toppy sound, but I'm sure I can do better. Don't get me wrong, this is a loud amp and it will be good in most situations. It's just this particular band I'm doing some work with are quite loud. We had a bass player for this gig as well, and he was louder than our usual bass player. So, and the way we were set up was we was in a line, which is never a good thing. I was right next to the bass player, which I hate being next to. I'd rather be next to the drummer and the bass player be over there. So it wasn't an ideal situation, and how I was stood as well, the amp was on the floor right next to my leg, you know, so it wasn't an ideal situation. So this week I know that we have more space and we'll be able to set up in a proper kind of situation. So, but I'm sure I've got an ickly feeling it's going to be just fine. The main purpose of this video is to demonstrate how you can get a really good kind of valvey, clean tone that you can stick your pedal board in front of. What I love about this amp is it's light. It's got a really good valve sound to it. It does have a 12AX7 in the preamp stage, and then all this, there's probably wizards and fairies and all sorts of things like packed inside, doing all their magical stuff. It sounds really convincingly valvey. I must point out, I do not condone wizard or fairy slavery in any way, but if Vox have to break the law in fairyland and wizardland to achieve such a great sound, then what are you going to do? Now, those wizards and fairies are quite clever, aren't they? So, let's have a look at this. Okay, so this is the software. It's called Tone Room, and you just download this from the Vox website, and this connects to your Vox amp via a USB cable, and it is simply a plug-in and play. You get access to all these wonderful amps, much more than what's on the amp already, and you can tweak all of these and program them how you want to, and then you've got the option of saving 8 pre-organized sounds, if you like, onto the amp itself to take out onto the road. The clean sound I'm using is this one, which is Gravity. I've tweaked it myself, obviously. It came from here, which was this. This is what it sounded like originally. and I've tweaked it to sound like this. And it's really cool. So you simply, we're on the amp here, and you can adjust all these different settings here. So we can put the gain up. We can do the bias, make it hotter. All of that stuff. Treble up if you want to. Mid boost it if you want to. All of that. And then go back to what I've added on. As in addition to that, we can add effects. So I've got an RC Turbo on here at the moment, which is like a little drive pedal. We can take that out. If you want to, we can add a tube screamer. Why not? Sounds pretty decent, etc, etc. I've got spring reverb on here. You've got different reverbs you can use. There's phasers, tremolos, echoes, delay, all of that stuff. It's pretty amazing. As a demonstration, if I go over here, you can see these are all cool, got names. You'll have to decide what amps they are, but for instance, there is one called The Love of God. We can guess what that is. Pretty nice, if I do say so myself. So anyway, going back to the sound I'm using here, which is my clean sound to put my pedal board in front of. Once you're happy with your sound, you can just save it to your amp in one of the banks. I'll show you how I'm going to do that right now. So there it is on my desktop. So that's what I've programmed in. That's what I'm happy with. Simply to put it into the amp so I can take it out on the road, I'll just go over to the amp, which is over here. And I want to put it in. You've got 4 banks here, so you can swap it from green to red. So that would be 1 to 4, and then that would be 5 to 8. And I want to put it in channel 2, so I know that when I press channel 2, it's going to give me that sound every time. I just hold it down until it stops flashing, and that is saved into there. Throughout the live performance, at any time I can adjust the middle, treble, bass, and all of that, and the volume and stuff, and the bias. Any of the effects I could adjust, but as soon as I press number 2 again, it will go back to the saved settings. If I adjust it through the gig and I want to keep it, I just have to hold that down again. So if as time goes on, because this is packed full of effects anyway, and it actually has more effects on here than I actually carry on my pedal board, and they sound pretty decent. On my pedal board, I'm just literally just carrying two tube screamers, which I put side to side. I've got a booster, a wah, and a delay, and that's it. Tuner and a noise gate. The tone room has all of those and more. Doesn't have a wah. I could, if I get all the sounds I want, just save them to the 8 banks. That would give me 8 different sounds, and then just take my wah pedal with me. I would, of course, have to buy the foot switch, which I don't have at the moment, in order to control that in a live situation. But it would save me taking out a bulky pedal board, and I get more sounds to use live. Great. Another thing you can do is you can bypass it all. So if you hold down this here, like that, it turns off the banks and the presets that are on here. So you're just using the amp as an amp. You can use the effects if you want to, and you can do the bias and stuff, but it just sounds like you're just using it as an amp. So this is just the amp with a bit of reverb on it. Just adjust the tone and treble how you want it. Which is okay as it is, but why would you do that when you've got access to all these lovely amp models anyway? But you could if you wanted to. The more I'm using this amp and the more I'm getting used to it, the more I'm loving it. I think it's really clever. Only question is it going to be loud enough? If it's not a major issue. I mean, at the last gig, it was almost there, but I didn't have it completely set up how I wanted it. It does have a headphone out, which you can run to a desk. All that does is it then becomes a preamp, or you could run it to another amp and still have access to all the lovely sounds and stuff. It just takes the power stage out and turns the speaker off on the amp. That's an option. Or you could just be old school and put a mic in front of it. As far as replacing a fully valve amp, I think that, I mean, this is about 3 years old now. I think it's very close, but I will be honest, it doesn't quite do it. It doesn't quite have that thing that fully valve amps have, but on the other hand, it is very good. And for the money, I think less than £200 or around £200, something like that, you get access to a whole lot of tones. And I think in the studio, it's going to be really valuable and could possibly replace the pod. We'll see. Anywho, this is how I'm using it at the moment while I'm getting used to it. I'm using it as an amp with my pedal board in front of it, old school style. It's working quite nicely. It sounds really nice. I love how light it is. I love that. So this was the first video on this amp. And I will be making more in-depth videos as I learn how to use it all and discover some cool sounds, which I will share with you guys. If you like this kind of video, then please give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. I just said that. That's what a thumbs up is. If you do like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. If you own this amp or one similar and you can give me some advice on how to dial in some tones, I'd really love that. Also, please subscribe to the channel. It is the best guitar channel on the planet. Not really, but it's still a cool place to be. Not much more to say on this one except peace. Till next time, cue the jingle. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you like my YouTube show, hit like and comment and get involved. If you dig my vibe, then hit subscribe and never miss an episode of my YouTube show. Peace. Till next time.